Hey gang, I'm Jim Zub, a professional comic book writer, and this week in stores is Thunderbolts #1, my latest series from Marvel Comics. It is amazing to be able to be writing the Thunderbolts again and to be bringing this new miniseries to life. I wanted to give you an in-depth look at how I pitched this new Thunderbolt series and use what I did there as a bit of advice to pitching in general. A lot of writers struggle with the concept of pitching, how to put together your ideas, how to trim them down to something manageable, and how to get that in front of a publisher and convince them that you're the right person for the job. Even if you're a skilled writer, even if you're great with dialogue, great with plot, great with characters, pitching is its own skill. It requires a very specific kind of understanding in terms of what the core of your story is and how you're going to explain it. So what I'm going to do here is give you a sneak peek at the pitch, the actual document that I used to pitch the new Thunderbolt series to Marvel. This isn't to say this is everything I wrote. I did all kinds of research and development on these characters. There were emails that I shot back and forth with my editor as we developed the story, built the plot out, and built these 5 issues that make up the miniseries. But initially, that one document that sort of generated everything, that baseline that we built from, is here on the screen in front of you right now. And what you'll see is it's extremely short. It's a lot shorter than you may have expected. A good pitch is not long. A good pitch, if anything, is as short as possible. You're trying to explain, who the main characters are, what's at stake, and how the drama is going to build, but you don't necessarily have to have every single answer to every question in the pitch. That broader outline comes later in the story development process. A pitch is meant to generate excitement. It's meant to create a foundation for discussion between you and your collaborators. It is not the final word on the series, it is not the final word on characterization, and it may not answer every single question that gets brought up. What it does is it creates a good feeling and an understanding that there is a core here worth building up, worth talking about. So let's go through the actual Thunderbolts pitch here more in depth. As a summary, I like to start kind of as broad as possible with my pitches. So here, the Thunderbolts pitch is called New York's Finest. Hawkeye leads a mismatched group of heroes as part of Luke Cage's vision for New York City after Wilson Fisk. But to become the leader this team needs to succeed, Clint also has to come to terms with his own fears and frustrations. This iteration of Thunderbolts is superheroic drama by way of Ted Lasso. Big action set pieces Marvel fans expect, served with fun and emotional character hooks to keep readers coming back for more each issue. That's really it. That summary, that core is super, super important. It tells the editor, the publisher, everything in terms of our mission. Beneath that summary, we've got the theme. Perfection is the enemy of progress. The more we hold ourselves and others to impossible standards, the further we fall behind the goals we try to reach. Now, that theme is a pretty big concept. It's not just about one character. It's essentially about all the characters on the team. It's about their need for redemption, their desire to be better than what they currently are, but also to not hold themselves to such high standards that they will never be able to achieve them. And so there's this sort of concept around perfectionism or idealism and redemption that kind of drives the whole Thunderbolts concept here. Clint Barton keeps trying to hit the bullseye with his life, big risks and big rewards, but it's never quite worked out. He's been on countless adventures and saved the world dozens of times, but is still struggling to find a place that feels right. Caught up in a bout of nostalgia and trying to get the original West Coast Avengers band back together, a different opportunity pops up instead. A prestigious PR firm working with Mayor Luke Cage tells Clint he's their top pick to lead a new team of Thunderbolts in New York City. This group of heroes, many who already call the New York area their home, will be the only sanctioned superhero team in the city, which means local threats previously dealt with by the Avengers or Fantastic Four are now distinctly under the Thunderbolts' jurisdiction. Superpowered crooks have taken hostages in Staten Island, a dimensional rift opens in Chinatown, monsters run amok at the Met, call in the Thunder. Hawkeye has led the Thunderbolts before, and without funding or other options to make the West Coast Avengers happen, Clint decides to give this a shot. But right from the start, it's clear there will be problems aplenty. Before Clint agreed to take charge, the proposed team roster was already assembled by the PR firm using market research and algorithms. The group is a heroic mishmash with minimal connections between them. Each one has been cast to fill a specific role based on an ideal template instead of a group held together by a common bond. The leader, Hawkeye, Clint Barton, struggling to make this work and feeling the pressure. The brick, Power Man, Victor Alvarez, determined to prove himself, but also overeager. The mentalist, Persuasion, Kara Kilgrave, trying to carve out a life of her own. Being famous is better than being hunted as a criminal or treated like a freak. The energy slinger, Spectrum, Monica Rambeau. She turned down the leader position Luke offered her, though Clint doesn't know that, but sticks around to help. The stunner, America Chavez. Her power levels are fluctuating, but she doesn't want to admit she's not as strong as she used to be. The loose cannon, Guts and Glory. New character, an old cyber soldier looking to retire with dignity. Seems like a cliche, but carries a surprising amount of depth and pathos. The mascot, Egro, new character. A Kirby-style mega monster that's only 3.5 feet tall. Egro the Unbreakable has been exiled from Monster Island and wants to prove he can make it in the Big Apple, even if that means selling his likeness rights to make cutesy toys and other ridiculous merchandise as part of the Thunderbolts initiative. In our mini-series, First Arc, there will be several missions for the team to show off their abilities against minor or mid-list villains, including rounding up Kingpin's previous Thunderbolts team on the run after Devil's Reign. They'll succeed or fail in spectacular fashion as they struggle to figure out their team dynamic. But bubbling beneath all those lesser threats is a larger danger will build up and pay off. You'll notice here that I blocked off a section of the pitch. Want to keep that secret intact for the whole mini-series. Although there are a series of missions and they feel kind of disconnected, there's something else that we're building up to. And I'm really, really excited for people to see it. For all the gimmicks I'm seeding into this, the PR firm, the new grim 90s character, the jumbled team lineup, beneath it all is a classic character drama. Hawkeye's doubts, Power Man's desire to impress, Persuasion's need to break free of her past, Monica feeling saddled with responsibilities she doesn't want, Gutson's regrets, and Egro building a new life. It's a Marvel superhero story with a lot of heart. That is the whole pitch. It's essentially 2 pages worth of writing. If the editor likes what they see there, then we can strike up a discussion and build on this foundation. There is not a lot here in terms of plotting. It doesn't tell you issue by issue what's going on, but there is a clear sense of characterization and also a lot of clear character hooks, how these characters are going to interact with each other, the difficulties that they're going to have to overcome, and the struggles that they have internally and externally. What they're up against, the specific, missions that they have to do as the Thunderbolts. We have some examples there when we talk about superpowered crooks in Staten Island, or we talk about Chinatown or the Met. Those are kinds of things that we can play in that playground. But on the whole, what you understand is what makes this team function, what makes this story function. It's going to be action-packed, it's going to be fun, it's going to be character-centric. That's what the overall pitch entails. Now, keep in mind, I do have the advantage of having done quite a bit of work at Marvel. I've been writing for Marvel since 2014, and so there's a base level of trust there that I've built up. I don't have to explain every last little plot point for, editors at Marvel to understand that I can pay off an emotional character storyline, I can make this stuff fun, I can build a cool action scene, all that kind of stuff. I've got a body of work behind me. And so what this pitch does is it essentially says, these are the core elements of this story. These are the things that make this iteration of the Thunderbolts function, why it's going to be interesting, fun, and worth following. That bit that I blocked out there, the spoiler bit that I've covered, that is a pretty cool kind of twist that I'm really proud of. And I think that that also helped sell the initial concept as well, that you've got all these, elements of the characters interacting and then the fun kind of scoop at the very end. And so we've got a cool cast, some, beloved characters, some characters who haven't seen the spotlight in a long time, and a brand new pair of characters that we're introducing as well. And then you also have, this fun kind of roundup, how we're putting it all together. A pitch is not about showing an editor or a publisher how much you can write. It's not about hundreds of pages of documentation and justification for your story. Your story should be easy to explain. Your story should be clear. Your themes should be, very clear as well. This is not something where you want to barrage an editor or a publisher with a telephone book worth of material. It's about doing good research and making sure that you know what that story is going to be, but then stripping away all the extraneous stuff to get to that core, and then pitching it to the publisher clearly, making sure they understand where your idea is at, and then they can discuss it and get involved in it and make suggestions so that they don't feel like you're choking out all those options because you've written every last little portion of it already. You want to make them confident that you have a plan, but be willing to change that plan and build on it with their help. That's what I think a really good pitch can do. It's simple, it's organized, it doesn't take long to read, but it's also clear in terms of there is a plan, there is a mission, there is material here worth discussing. It's a lot of sizzle, it's a lot of excitement, and it's stripped right down to its core. That's what a good pitch does. I was able to send this pitch in to Tom Brevoort. We went back and forth and built out, the particular characters that we wanted to use, how they would interact with each other, and how we would build up to a really cool payoff. Then it came down to finding the right artist for the job, and I was thankful to be able to work with my old pal, Sean Isaac. He's such an incredible artist, and we've had amazing collaborations before on the previous iteration of Thunderbolts, on Champions, on the Avengers, on Uncanny Avengers. Sean and I know each other's idiosyncrasies really well, and we're just a really good pair. We kind of feed off of each other's excitement. And so I knew the action was going to be awesome. I knew that his panel-to-panel storytelling would be sharp and that he could do the character moments as well. That's what a good creative team does. They take this initial idea and they add to it at every stage. Once Sean was on board, we were able to design up the cast. Sean did an amazing job putting together new costumes for all the characters. Our character lineup was interesting. They've got really good sense of cohesive design. Each character's got a unique silhouette. It's a good looking team. It's a great looking book, and I'm extremely, extremely proud of it. If you get a chance to pick up Thunderbolts this week, next week, or in the future, I hope you give it a shot. All of us on the team are super, super pumped for it, and I cannot wait to hear the feedback as our story rolls out, the character kind of moments get revealed, and our big kind of secret payoff happens at the end of the miniseries. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this enlightening and interesting as you're on your own writing journey, or if you're just interested in seeing behind the scenes on how comics work. As always, if you like what you see here, you can find a lot more free resources on comic writing on my own personal website, or if you want to go even deeper and dive in over on my Patreon, I have over 200 scripts in my Patreon archive. You can compare the script to the final printed version and see how comics are made for less than a coffee.